There was talk of the Kumbh Mela, and Srila Prabhupada said it was the most auspicious Kumbh Mela in 144 years. And all the rishis and sages and sadhus would come from all over to attend this particular Kumbh Mela. So it became real imperative that we all figure out how to get there. But there was no trains, planes, no way to get in, no way. Everything had been booked for months in advance. So Abhiram knew the manager of the entire train station in Bombay. His name was Mr. Gupta. And so he came in and he saw Srila Prabhupada, and he put on 2 extra cars for the devotees, 1 second-class car and 1 first-class car. And so the devotees were able to go in. And as we were on our way, we were in the coupe right next to Srila Prabhupada and Rameshwar Maharaj, and we were trying so hard to hear. And you could hear their voices, but not what they were saying. But it was so comforting to know Srila Prabhupada was right there.
On the way to the festival, and I think it must have been 1 or 2 in the morning, and I suddenly woke up, my eyes just completely snapped open. So I looked around, expecting to see Srila Prabhupada sleeping, but in fact he was up, sitting there, and clearly waiting for me to wake up. He somehow made me wake up. And so he gave me the opportunity to talk with him, and we spoke for hours. And every question I could think of about the world and of world events and events to come, I was asking. We talked about the Cold War and nuclear arms. We talked about many different things. Prabhupada would explain, all from the point of view of absolute knowledge, why the world is always a violent place and why there's always war and misery and pain. So that was helpful for me to just understand that whatever time in the history that you live, these characteristics will always be there.
Early '77 in Vancouver, we were going out on Sankirtan, and I was with Kripanidhi Das, and we loaded up a van full of books, and I told Kripanidhi for some reason that day I was going to go alone. And by the end of the day, it was 640 Srimad Bhagavatams and Chaitanya Charitamritas. And then later on in the year, I was in Berkeley, and Radha Ballava had approached me. He was on the train with Prabhupada going to Kumbh Mela at the time. And he said that Prabhupada was very ill. He was lying down, and they showed him the newsletter of all the devotees in the temples around the world that would distribute books. And the biggest distributor would get his name underneath your temple. And Radha Ballava said that Prabhupada sat up and he pointed to my name and he said, "This is what gives me life when I see my disciples distributing my books like this." And he pointed to my name, Tota Gopinath. Every time I go to tell the story, even now, it's it makes me cry, get tears in my eyes. It's that's the one thing that's kept me a devotee. It's, for that 1 second, special moment when Prabhupada points to your name like that and recognizes you.
When we arrived there, we were taken out to the campsite, and Srila Prabhupada was distressed by the location because it was sort of an out-of-the-way place. And so he called for the managers to come, and he really questioned why we were in this location, because he wanted to be centrally located in the middle of the action. But then at the end of their conversation, he said, "Never mind," and he just said, "I will send you to the action." And he would just send Harinam Sankirtan and book distribution parties out to the people during the day. And he wanted to make sure that there was adequate prasadam. The first day there was not proper amount of prasadam to distribute to other people. There was just enough for the devotees there. And Srila Prabhupada really stressed that that wasn't the appropriate arrangement.
During the festival, I don't think we really did the things that Prabhupada was planning to do in terms of having kirtans, the big stage, and so on, because Prabhupada was, his body was becoming ill. He was manifesting symptoms of that illness that lasted for those last 6 or 7 months. And so it didn't appear that he was comfortable. It appeared that there was pain and he was just not being bothered by it because of his transcendence. So there were a lot of mixed emotions at this festival because of that. But there was a constant, non-stop parade of all kinds of people, dignitaries, spiritualists, who were there and heard that Prabhupada was there and would find their way to where our tents were and just come to get Prabhupada's blessing. That was the whole purpose of this festival, is to purify yourself in these rivers, and you get the darshan of the holy men. So the people who knew, they would try to find Prabhupada.